Hello, students. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our online lesson again. And this lesson is a very exciting lesson because this lesson will help you to learn how to match the statements into questions. Okay, so we are not just doing some conversations, but we also have to understand the statements and the questions in the conversation. Okay? So this lesson will be focusing on speaking and listening. Okay, are you ready, students? Okay, so let's have a warm up. Okay, so how do we match the statements into questions or questions into statements? Okay, so how do we do that? No? Okay, so are you excited to learn? Alright, so this lesson will help you a lot how to understand the statements into questions. Okay, we're going to match them. Okay, so have uh let's have a warm up about this lesson. Okay, so as you see, we have column A and column B. Okay, so we need to match them. Alright, so I know you already know how to determine the question and a statement, right? Okay, so statement is something like a sentence, okay? A affirmative sentence, okay? Usually a statement is in affirmative form, okay? While the question is in the interrogative form, right? Okay, so let's study. So this one is column A and this one is column B. So let's match them. Okay. So remember, class, when you speak or when you say a statement or a sentence, usually when we talk to someone, when we have a conversation with someone, usually when you say something or when you say a statement, usually your partner will ask a question, or usually they have a supporting question, right? So that's what are we going to do for this lesson. Okay, let's begin. So let's proceed here in this column. Okay, so we have three sentences here. So the first sentence is, my sister's a university student. Okay, for example, you have your partner and you're having some conversations. Okay, so actually when we heard a conversation, we hear two types of sentence, either statement or question. Okay, so my sister's a university student. What do you think is the perfect response or match with this statement? So this is a statement. Okay, so this is not a question. Okay, so because we don't see any question mark here. Okay, so if the sentence doesn't have question mark, obviously or probably that is not a question. Okay, so what do you think is the perfect supportive question for this statement? Okay, you can pause this video and try to find this the answer here in column B. All right, have you found the answer? Have you found the perfect match for this statement? Okay, so for example, I'm going to ask you, or I'm going to say something to you. My sister's a university student. What would you ask? Okay, so maybe the perfect match for this statement is, okay, so this sentence, okay, this interrogative sentence. Really? Where does she go to school? Okay, am I right, students? Okay, so they are match. Okay, so all we have to do is connect them. Okay, so this is the perfect match for this statement. Okay, so my sister's a university student, and then, of course, your partner will ask you, really? Where does she go to school? Okay. Do you understand, students, how to connect the statement into question or questions into statement? Okay. Sometimes statements become a, an answer. Okay. Oh, it's up to, it depends on the conversation. The statement would become an answer. Okay. Next, let's proceed to the second sentence or the second statement. All my cousins live in Scotland. Where do you think is the perfect uh, supportive answer for this statement? All right. So observe carefully. What do you think is the best supportive answer or question for this statement? All my cousins live in Scotland. Okay, of course, when your partner asked or when your partner told you about this, of course you will be wondering or you will be curious, no? So probably you're going to ask, right? Okay. So what do you think is the answer? This one or this one? Okay. So the the perfect match for this statement is, okay, this sentence or this interrogative sentence. Really? My uncle and aunt live there too. Where in Scotland do they live? Okay, so perhaps we found already the perfect match for this statement. Okay, so if your partner told you, all my cousins live in Scotland, probably you would ask them, you would ask him or her. You would say, really? My aunt and my uncle and aunt live there too. Where in Scotland do they live? Okay, because he said his cousins lives in Scotland. Of course, you're going to ask them about the place in Scotland. Okay, do you understand, students? Okay, let's proceed to the third one. Okay, so as you see, this is a question, right? Okay, so what do you think is the perfect match for this question? Okay, obviously, okay, the last one, right? Okay, so this time, this is opposite, okay? So, you would say first, my nephew lives in Vancouver. Okay. So, if your partner told you this one, okay, maybe you would ask something about his nephew. Okay. So the answer would be this one. Okay. All you have to do, students, is to match the statements to the questions or match the questions into statements. Okay. So we're done. So I think they are all correct, right? Okay, so my sister's a university student. Really? Where does she go to school? All my cousins live in Scotland. Really? My uncle and aunt live there too. Where in Scotland do they live? Okay, and then my nephew lives in Vancouver. Is that right? What does he do there? Okay, perhaps you understood already, right, students? Okay, so it's just a warm up. Let's try one more. Okay, let's read this first sentence. Okay, my mother's a doctor. She works at the local hospital. What do you think is the perfect match for this statement? Okay, probably what are you what will you ask? Okay, if your partner told you my mother's a doctor, she works at the hospital, probably what would you ask? Of course, you're going to ask, okay, because you are curious. No? What which of these questions do you think is the perfect match for this first sentence or statement? You can pause this video and find the answer. All right. So, what do you think is the perfect answer, students? My mother's a doctor. She works at the local hospital. Yes, of course. You're going to ask, okay, probably you're going to ask this question. Really? What kind of doctor is she? Okay. So, if you asked your partner about this one, maybe your question would be related to their statement, right? Okay. Because he's he's saying that his mother or her mother is a doctor. And then probably you're going to ask about doctor. Okay? Is it correct? Well, that's right. Okay. Next, next statement. Okay. Both my brother and sister go to school in New York. Okay. What do you think is the perfect match for this statement? Okay. So the perfect match would be okay. So this one probably you would ask your partner like this. Really? Do they both go to the same school? Okay, I think the answer is correct. No? Are you agree? Okay, of course. Both my brother and sister go to school in New York. And then you would ask, really? Do they both go to the same school? Okay, so your answer or your question is precisely related to your partner's statement. Okay, the last one is this one. My uncle's coming to visit this weekend. Okay. What do you think? Okay. So, of course, you're going to ask like this. That sounds nice. What are you going to do? Ah, okay. So, I think all the sentences are already matched into the questions. Okay. So that's what are we going to do when we see when we see each other face to face at school. Okay. So we will have a speaking activity, and you're going to find your partner and have you're going to have a conversation. Okay. Either one of you is saying a statement, or the other one is asking a question. Okay. So if you combine the questions and the statements, or statements and a question, you would create, or you can create a conversation. Okay, do you understand, class? All right, I hope you have understood. Now, Let us listen to the conversation and match the statements into questions. Okay, this time I'm going to play an audio. Uh, I'm going to play the conversation audio. Okay, so you have to listen carefully and match the statements into questions or questions into statements. Okay, so usually this is a question answer activity. Okay, so let's match their conversation. Okay, so let's find out the correct statements into questions or questions into statements. Okay, ready? Okay, listen carefully. What do you do, Sarita?
I'm a teacher.
Really? Tell me about your family.
Well, I'm married and have 3 children.
What does your husband do?
He has a small business.
Oh, that's interesting. What business does he have?
He has a small business garment factory. He exports all the products.
What about your children? Do they all go to school?
No, only 2 of them go to school. The youngest one is just 5 months old.
You have a small and beautiful family.
Yes, it's a lovely family. And what about you? Are you married?
No, I'm not. I'm still studying. I'm in my final year of MBA.
Oh, great. By the way, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do. I have a brother and a sister.
And what do they do?
Well, my brother drives a taxi and my sister flies a plane.
Oh no, kidding.
All right, so that's the conversation. Now, students, did you understand the conversation? If yes, that's good. Okay, so all the conversation, all the dialogues that you have heard are here. Okay, so all we need to do is to match them. Okay, either statement first and then a question, or question first and then a statement or an answer. Okay, so let's match them. Okay, so this one is this is a column A and this is a column B. Okay, now let's match the two. Okay, I am a teacher. The first statement is I am a teacher. Okay, what do you think is the match or the supportive questions in this statement? Okay, let's hear again. What do you do, Sarita?
I'm a teacher.
Really? Tell me about your family. Okay, so she said that she is a teacher, right? Okay, I am a teacher. And then the supportive question would be, okay, so we found already. Okay, so this one, really? Tell me about your family. Okay, is it correct? Yes. Okay, let's hear again.
Well, I'm married and have 3 children.
What does your husband do? Okay, what's the next statement, students? Okay, she said, well, I am married and I have 3 children. And then, what was the supporting question? Okay, as you heard, the supporting question is, okay, so this one. What does your husband do? Okay, isn't it? Yes. Okay, let's continue one more time. Hearing the audio.
He has a small business.
Oh, that's interesting. What business does he have? All right. Have you heard about it? Okay. She said he has a small business, right? And then what's the supportive question? Okay. So the supportive question would be this one. Okay, as you heard. He said, "Oh, that's interesting. What business does he have?" Okay, isn't it? Yes. Okay, let's continue. Listen again.
He has a small business garment factory. He exports all the products.
What about your children? Do they all go to school? All right. So, what's the next statement, students? Okay, she said he has a small business garment factory. He exports all the products. And then, what do you think was the supportive question? Okay, so as you heard, this is the supportive question, right? Okay. She said he has a small business garment factory. He exports all the products. And then the supportive question of the guy is, what about your children? Do they all go to school? Okay, is it correct? Yes, it is. Okay, let's continue listening.
No, only two of them go to school. The youngest one is just 5 months old.
You have a small and beautiful family. Okay, what do you think, students? So, when the man asked the woman, what about your children? Do they all go to the school? What do you think is the answer of the woman? Okay, the woman said, okay, so the answer for this question would be, okay, this one, right? The woman said, no, only two of them go to school. The youngest one is just 5 months old, right? Okay, so let's continue listening.
Yes, it's a lovely family. Yes, it's a lovely family. And
You have a small and beautiful family.
yes, it's a lovely family. And
Okay, so the guy said, you have a small and beautiful family. Okay, what do you think is the response or the response of the woman? Okay, the woman said, yes, it's a lovely family. Okay, right? So that's their dialogue. Okay, let's continue listening.
yes, it's a lovely family. And what about you? Are you married?
No, I'm not. I'm still studying. I'm in my final year of MBA. Okay, so what do you think are the next dialogues? Okay, so the woman asked the man, and the woman said, what about you? Are you married? Okay, so this is the next statement, right? Or the next question. And what's the man's answer? Okay, he said that, okay, no, I'm not. I'm still studying. I'm in my final year of MBA. Okay, is it correct, students? Yes, of course. Okay, let's continue listening.
Oh, great. By the way, do you have any brothers and sisters?
Yes, I do. I have a brother and a sister. Okay, so what does the woman say? The next statement or question is, okay, the woman said, "Oh, great. By the way, do you have any brothers and sisters?" Okay, so what do you think was the man's answer? Okay, the guy said, "Yes, I do. I have a brother and a sister." Okay, so let's continue listening.
And what do they do?
Well, my brother drives a taxi and my sister flies a plane. Okay, so after the guy said that, yes, I do, I have a brother and a sister. Okay, the woman asked him again, right? So what did she ask? Okay, she asked, and what do they do? Okay, and the guy said, okay, so this is the man's answer. Okay, well, my brother drives a taxi and my sister flies a plane. All right, so we're complete. We're all done. I think we already connected all the statements into questions or questions into statements or answer. Okay, so that's how we match the statements into questions or questions into statements. Okay, so I hope I hope now you have learned how to connect or match the statements into questions. Whenever you have a conversation to someone, okay, just remember that in a conversation we have two types, okay, either statements and question. Okay, so that's our lesson for today, students. And when we see each other face to face at school, we're going to practice uh, a conversation, okay, by determining the statements and a question, okay? So prepare yourselves, find your partner, and practice asking and answering, okay, or question answer activity, okay, because that would be our activity, okay, when we see each other, when we get back to school, okay? So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have learned how to determine the statements and uh, question. And I hope you have now understood how to connect or match the statements into questions or match the questions into statements. Okay? So thank you so much for watching this video and we will see again next class. Okay? We'll see you again next class. Okay? Goodbye, students.